welcome in. Why don't you stay a while? It's Cronkite Sports Live. Bobby Kraus, to my right, is my partner Nick Batters. Maplewood, New Jersey, Livermore, California. It's an East Coast, West Coast reunion up here on the anchor desk. Nick, good to be with you.
Man, I'm so glad to be here. I feel like we've been waiting a long time to make this happen.
This has been much long overdue.
Years in the making, and honestly, no better way to start off my spring break, because here at the campus-wide leader, well, spring break may be starting now, we never sleep, and what a night last night was. ASU football ending their spring practice schedule with the spring scrimmage. While some might think it's too early to think about the 2019 college football season, the Herm train waits for no one. Arizona State football has been in spring practice throughout February and wrapped things up in its spring scrimmage last night. With several questions headlined by an open battle for the starting quarterback spot, Thursday night gave everyone a glimpse as to what the future of ASU football will look like, as our own Jack Lottery reports.
With a month of practice behind them, the Sun Devils finished off their spring ball slate with the annual spring football game in Sun Devil Stadium. The night started with autographs with fans and individual position drills. But then quarterbacks Dylan Sterling Cole, Ethan Long, Jaden Daniels, and Joey Yeldon had a chance to shine. The four quarterbacks continue to battle for the starting spot with no clear favorite yet to emerge. During the action, 3 of the 4 quarterbacks threw interceptions, the exception being Dylan Sterling Cole. The 4 players will continue to compete deep into the fall. With spring practices culminating here in Sun Devil Stadium with the annual spring football game, the quarterback battle is still up for grabs. And if you ask ASU running back Eno Benjamin, it's still anybody's game.
Like I said, there's been a lot of good things from all 4 quarterbacks. Man, Joey, the touch he can put on the ball when the time's there, I think that's amazing. Decision making from Jaden. Ethan's a big guy. Dylan, he's Dylan. And so they've all got different traits. And so I couldn't tell you where and who is where, but I think by the time when it comes, I think we're all going to be comfortable with that guy there.
With plenty of time and no rush to decide, Edwards and his coaching staff will have ample time to make a quarterback decision, but it may not be official until the Devils take the field in August. With spring football over, Herm Edwards and crew are now looking to the real thing.
It is, and I think when you walk in the arena, we practice across the street, but when you walk in here and you've never been in this place, and now you're in your uniform, it's different. And the next time they walk in here, we got a great fan base. They'll be cheering and they'll be hollering, and we'll be excited. And they've been in here before. And I just think the more you can put them in situations that are going to come up where they become comfortable in an uncomfortable environment. That's what I'm always about. That's what I stress the most of this team.
Reporting in Tempe, Jack Lottery, Cronkite Sports.
Well, ASU softball continues to shake off the weight of its eventful offseason by continuing to stack up the wins in tournament season. The team bounced back from consecutive shutout losses in their first 2 games of the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in California last weekend to win their final 4 games of the tournament. The Devils return home to Farrington Stadium this weekend with a record of 12-4 to host the Sun Devil Classic, with 5 games on the docket against 3 teams. Game 1 of the Classic is in the bottom of the 4th right now, with ASU currently leading 14-5 against Princeton. Trisha Ford's squad will host the ASU Invitational next weekend before opening up Pac-12 play at home against Oregon State starting on March 15th.
ASU men's basketball entered its final road trip of the season at a crossroads. On Thursday, the Sun Devils definitely ended up crossing to the wrong side. The Oregon Ducks shut down the Devils in a 79-51 rout, souring the mood after an emotional senior night win last week. Our Alex Gall made the trip to Eugene and has the reaction from the loss from Matthew Knight Arena.
Coming off an emotional senior day victory last Sunday, there was a lot of reason for optimism for Arizona State men's basketball. But after a 79-51 thrashing at the hands of the Oregon Ducks in Eugene, the team is left wondering why.
It's life on the road, to be honest. Oregon has a lot of talent. They're one of the better defensive teams in our league. The main times that we've struggled in games this year, we just have not scored well, haven't shot great percentages, and that was, another example of it.
It was not the Sun Devils' night from behind the arc. They shot 3 of 24 in the game, and at one point missed 17 straight from deep. Larry Martin was the lone Sun Devil to tally 1 in the scoring column.
You know, not every game is going to make shots. We've been hitting shots lately. We were on a win streak. It's just that today, you know, they beat us. They just simply beat us, and, you know, it's over. We got to watch the film and see what happened, see the breakdown, and get better from it, and we just got to focus on the next game.
I've been saying this for a while. I mean, we're in a power conference, and we've got double-digit, you know, wins, and I know what wins we have in our pocket, and they're considerably better than most that are in our position. You know, like all teams, you got to be playing well at this time of the year. So it's frustrating that we had this effort tonight.
Next up, the Sun Devils take the trip up to Corvallis on Interstate 5 to face off with Oregon State this Sunday. But for now, reporting in Eugene, Oregon, Alex Gall, Cronkite Sports.
In a season that was pegged as crucial for everyone involved with the program long before it even began, Sun Devil baseball is off to, well, a perfect start. The team has gotten out of the gates 8-0 behind a white-hot offense and clutch performances on the mound. Tracy Smith's squad might also be defying the odds even further by the sheer number of players on the roster or lack thereof. With only 25 active players, that's incredibly light for a college program. In situations like these, internal player leadership becomes even more critical to guiding a team through the ups and downs of a season, as our own Carly Mathias reports.
Coming into the season with only one senior on the roster, ASU Baseball needed players to step up and take over as leaders of this young team. For Alec Marsh and Carter Aldretti, the transition to a leadership position was a natural one.
When you have swag and you carry yourself like that, I mean, people gravitate towards you, and they kind of just, they don't want to follow you, but they kind of know that, okay, you're here to play, you're here to compete.
I think it's just the experience. Me and him have been here through everything. I mean, we're the top guys here. You know, we've played the most, and we got the most experience in our respective roles. He takes care of position players, and I'm taking care of the pitchers. You know, just keeping everybody in check.
These now juniors have paid their dues and learned what it takes to have a successful and cohesive team from the leaders that came before them.
If you ask him, is what it was like for him as a freshman, making sure and how important that was to have a upperclassman wrap your arm around you and say, hey man, here's how we do it. So he's done a really good job of that.
Whether it be on or off the field, growing pains just come with the territory of having a young team. But with the guidance of Marsh and Aldretti, this team hasn't had many issues.
The biggest concern for coaches is making sure their players can take matters into their own hands and handle situations internally. But for anyone associated with this team, those concerns are already taken care of.
I knew that stuff in the clubhouse and stuff away from the field is going to be monitored by the players, because there's a lot of different aspects with the education, with the social life, with dorm life, with everything, and we're only around them 3 to 6 hours a day.
Although the season is just getting started, there's no denying that this team has been clicking. With Marsh and Aldretti at the helm, this ASU squad has proved that team chemistry can go a long way in producing success on the field.
It's been easy because everybody's on the same page, everybody has the same goal, and I think it's really important that you have like those leadership guys, just because it puts everybody in the right direction.
If there's one thing that's clear this year, it's that everyone in the clubhouse knows the identity of the team and the role they serve on it, and that's what's going to push them to success. From Phoenix Municipal Stadium, Carly Mathias, Cronkite Sports.
Carly, thanks so much. Arizona State Women's Hockey wrapped up its season last weekend when the team competed in the Western Women's Collegiate Hockey League Conference Tournament in Las Vegas. For the first time in program history, the Devils made it to the semifinals, fresh off a 4-0 win over rival GCU in pool play. While the team fell to Midland later Saturday night, the win over the Lopes in the afternoon was the team's 10th victory of the season, which is how many they had combined in the previous 2 seasons. After the Midland Warriors beat ASU Saturday night, they went on to send the conference's best, Colorado, into 2 overtime periods, eventually winning 3-2 and earning the program's first national tournament berth. WCSN live streamed all 9 games over the weekend, and wow, what a great weekend of college hockey it was.
A pleasant good evening to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. ASU is 1 for 7 on the power play the last time over the weekend.
What a shot!
And all of a sudden, ASU, Amy Gullickson in front of the crease. Catherine Jones buries it home. The Sun Devils strike first, 1-0 ASU.
Teams when they go at it,
There's just something a little extra. Tuesday, Chavez off the face-off, puck loose in front of the crease. Nash Bolden slides to her right, puck still loose, she can't find it, but it's recovered by Amy Gullickson of the Sun Devils. And again, this year, they're still volunteering.
Oh, there it is!
There it is, the slap shot one-timer from Casey McGinley.
Games in 3 days. And there's another slap shot, Casey McGinley.
Unbelievable. The final seconds tick down on the clock. The Sun Devils will continue their season in 2019. They're headed to the semifinals, and tonight they'll play Midland. It's semifinal game 1 of the WWCHL playoffs. Fred Larson enters the attacking zone, and as time expires, the Midland Warriors will challenge for the WWCHL championship tomorrow morning. It all comes down to this, the final day of the 2019 Western Women's Collegiate Hockey League Conference Tournament. The winner receives a bid to the 2019 ACHA Division I Women's National Championship Tournament in Dallas. It's the conference's 2 best teams, the Midland Warriors, the Colorado Buffaloes.
They took a few in the first couple periods, but... And there it is!
Colorado, the quick power play goal. And Tony Bear with the shot, puck loose.
Oh, he goes in!
And the Warriors have tied the game on the power play with just over 2 minutes to go. And as time winds down, Reed, this game's going to be decided in sudden death. Tony Bear fires a shot off, rebound recovered. And the Midland Warriors, for the first time in program history, are headed to Dallas. The overtime winner seals the game.
Well, it's not just the men's basketball team that can finally turn the calendar to their favorite month of the year, as the ASU women's basketball team is also gearing up for a potential NCAA tournament run. With the Pac-12 conference locked and loaded as ever with 5 ranked teams, including the Sun Devils, there's so much left to be determined in the final handful of games for the conference tournament, as Caleb Bushy reports in this week's Impact.
Thanks, guys. With 5 teams in the top 25, Pac-12 women's basketball is becoming extremely competitive. Currently, UCLA, Arizona State, Oregon State, Stanford, and Oregon are all ranked. And speaking of those Oregon Ducks, they are currently sitting at the top of the Pac-12 with their first place rank and are hoping to secure that #1 seed in the upcoming 2019 Pac-12 tournament. Just like last season, the Ducks will enter the final weekend of the regular season with a 1-game lead in the Pac-12 standings, and with a win against U of A this Friday, Oregon could officially clinch the Pac-12 regular season crown for the 2nd year in a row. However, if Washington State upsets Stanford, or with ASU or U of A beating any of the Oregon schools, the standings will face a dramatic change with both the Pac-12 and the NCAA. So with that, the #1 spot in the Pac-12 could be up for grabs for any of these top 5 teams, who all have challenging matchups to close out the regular season in their last 2 games. All of these high 5 teams will be fighting hard, but only one will make it to the top in the first place spot come this weekend. Back to you guys.
Caleb, great stuff. In the past week, several of ASU's Olympic sports have been competing in their league championships. Last week, the track and field team was in Seattle for the MPSF championships. The Sun Devils won 3 titles, headlined by redshirt senior William Paulson, breaking a school record in the mile run at 3 minutes and 58 seconds. This weekend, men's dive and women's swim and dive are in Washington for the Pac-12 championships, and so far, the women have set several program bests already. The Sun Devils set a new record in the 200 medley relay and 800 free relay on Wednesday. And the next day, junior Sierra Runge, part of the 800 free relay group, set a record in the preliminary of the 500 freestyle, then broke her own record later that day in the final. Both the men and women will finish the Pac-12 championships Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, ASU Gymnastics is headed to the final month of its season, which for Caitlin Safransky means her final few competitions as a Sun Devil. Caitlin transferred to ASU to join her sister Ashley, and the two have been a part of each other's gymnastics careers since the beginning. WCSN's Nadia Tessero has more on the siblings' journey through the gym.
Growing up in Orfield, Pennsylvania, Caitlin and Ashley Zafransky began gymnastics at a very young age and have been tied to the hip ever since.
I started when I was 3 and Ashley was 2, and she was always in the gym running around, so they let her start early, which was pretty cool. And so we started right from then together.
Only 1 year apart, you may think that they would have gotten competitive with each other, but Ashley says it's quite the opposite.
I think it was more of the competitive, supportive, so we always wanted each other to do our best, and we would keep pushing each other to grow and grow and grow together.
Following Caitlin's senior year of high school, she went on to compete at LSU before transferring to ASU during her junior year to reunite with Ashley.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I can't even express to you. That was like one of the most amazing days of my life.
Oftentimes in sports, teammates will refer to each other as family, but for Caitlin and Ashley, they say their sisterly bond is what makes them unique.
We kind of know just by body language what's going on that day, or if you need a little extra, or what you need to say to each other, just because we've done it so long together.
As their daughter's biggest fans, Dan and Kim Safransky could not be prouder of Caitlin's journey to ASU.
She really just shined, and coming here to ASU, I think really made a difference for her, and she was able to do
the whole
her
team
thing.
embraced her, Ashley, the coaches, and everybody, and they made her transition much easier, so it really went well. We couldn't have asked for anything better.
With Caitlin graduating in May, things were about to change for the sisters yet again.
I'm gonna miss everything. She's my best friend in the whole world, so I don't know, everything inside and outside the gym.
For Cronkite Sports, I'm Nadia Testro.
Really great content from Nadia there, Bobby. Now we're back in our downtown Phoenix studios, and it's time for This Week in Sun Devil social media. And for that, we bring on WCSN's Riley Trujillo. Riley, we're really glad to have you here this afternoon.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Glad to hear that. It was a fun week in social media, I would imagine.
Always, spectacular social media from the Sun Devils this week. So we look at our first tweet. This one's coming from ASU football. Herm Edwards, coaches never stop coaching.
You do a really good job when that red light comes on, because it's really important when it comes on. That means you're live and you can take nothing back.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I really want Herm Edwards to be my on-air coach.
I second that notion completely. Herm Edwards knows the struggle that we go through. When the red light comes on, you got to be ready to go. And I think we're looking at Cronkite's next adjunct professor, if you ask me.
You stole the words out of my mouth. I was going to say Cronkite needs to hire this man, Herm Edwards. I don't know what class he'd teach, but I think he'd be a great adjunct professor.
It would be the most popular class that Cronkite has ever put on.
Oh, no
Herm
doubt.
Edwards, we need you in here.
I would also take Herm's class, but you know who else I'd love to have as professor? Charles Barkley. And who else ran into Charles Barkley? No other than Sun Devils swim and dive on their way to the Pac-12 championships this weekend. Saw him at the airport.
Why is it that airports are where you run into the most famous people the most frequently? Like, I feel like that not even like famous people, just like the most random pop culture people ever. But good for Sun Devil swim and dive, because Charles Barkley is a great good luck charm.
Honestly, my question is to be, what's with Sun Devil athletes running into like random basketball stars? Because a couple weeks ago we had Sun Devil lacrosse playing lacrosse with Steph Curry and the Warriors, and then this week it's Charles Barkley at the airport. So I'm curious who's going to be next.
I don't know, maybe LeBron James, maybe just go for it all.
That'd be a big one.
That would be a big one. And our last tweet is coming from Joey Decord, the Sun Devils goalie from men's hockey. And he had the opportunity this week to go on the NCAA's Ice Hockey Twitter account and do a question and answer session. And he had the question, what comes first, the water or the cereal?
Do you put water in first or the cereal? I don't. What?
I hope they mean milk.
I'm a little confused.
Do
you know, Halsey?
That's a separate question. I think if you talk about milk and you put the milk in before the cereal, that's still weird. But water with cereal is probably.
I don't know.
That's a step further.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
that's tough. That's a serial killer move.
Yeah.
Okay. I have like a ridiculous number of questions here. So this Ethan T. Black guy, do you actually put water in your cereal? Because if so, that's a whole other conversation that we're going to have after this show. I agree with Joey. I think we're all still a little confused. Actually, I'm a lot confused, Bobby.
I'm so lost. I mean, first of all, the answer is the cereal goes first.
That is correct, yes.
But like,
I'd agree.
I have no idea what to make of that. Can we get a check on Ethan Black? Like, make sure that he's all right, because I think that there are some very reasonable questions that need to be asked if you're asking a goalie that.
This man, a serial killer.
I see what you did there.
Well, I'll script myself out now.
Riley, thank you for coming on for social media.
Thank you.
And the long-anticipated final weekend of the college hockey season is here for Joey Decord in Arizona State. Greg Powers and company will be traveling to the state of hockey for 2 games this weekend against the storied University of Minnesota. While many involved with the game believe that the Sun Devils have already clinched the first at-large bid for an independent team to the tournament since 1996, Powers is making sure his team doesn't take their foot off the gas pedal, as Riley did double duty for us and headed out to practice this week.
As the Arizona State men's hockey team is receiving some national attention for their outstanding performances this season, Coach Greg Powers is still focused on what is closely ahead.
It's a tremendous honor for the program. We couldn't be more excited about the opportunity, and that's exactly what it is. It's a great opportunity for us.
The Sun Devils are traveling up to Minnesota this weekend to face the Golden Gophers, and many of them are excited to return to the state of hockey.
Yeah, last year at the same time I was playing there for our section final game, so going back there playing at this level now, it'll be definitely an adjustment, but it'll be pretty cool to have a lot of family there, a lot of friends I know. I got a bunch of tickets ready for some people. I just know a lot of people are going to come and see our game, so we'll have to show up, but it'll be pretty amazing feeling, so I'm excited.
It's always nice to go back to a place where you played before. I know a lot of people in Minnesota, so it'll be nice to play against them, and then I got a couple friends coming to the game, so it should be fun. And in terms of hockey, it's definitely going to be a test for us. They're a really good team. Definitely we're going in focused on the first game, and we'll see what happens after that. But I guess it'd be huge. We just want to win as much as possible, and to get a win against Minnesota, like a big national team like that, would be huge. So.
In Tempe for Cronkite Sports, Riley Trujillo.
Riley, thanks so much for pulling double duty. We certainly appreciate it. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show. It's the way it is. We wind things down. Bobby and I, we go back and forth, ask each other a few questions, give a few answers, and then the winner gets to read a monologue. Pretty cool stuff, right?
I love it.
So we're going to start things off with ASU hockey. They have one series left this season. It's this weekend up in Minnesota. Both the Gophers and Devils are vying for an at-large bid. So what do you think happens this weekend? How might it affect ASU's playoff chances?
I think it's going to be a split between the Sun Devils and the Gophers, but honestly, I think that they've already assured themselves a spot in the tournament. They've been climbing the pairwise rankings for weeks now. They're inside the top 10. They just got to be inside the top 16 to make the tournament. I think Greg Powers and his team are going to be going dancing in a few weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I think ASU wins at least one, if not two of these games. They've had some struggles in the road, which is why I think they could drop a game. But as long as they win one, honestly, you're right. Even if they don't win any, they have a pretty good shot. It's been a phenomenal season for ASU hockey.
All right, Nick, you're next. Sun Devil Hoops dropped a rough game in Eugene last night to the Ducks. How much does this loss hurt their tournament chances?
A lot. It hurts them a lot. I don't think they're totally knocked out, but it's going to be really interesting how this final bit of play goes in the Pac-12 conference. If they lose another game, they might be out of it, but they're not totally out of it yet.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think that regardless, they're going to end up in the same situation they were in last year, playing in Dayton in the first floor, potentially being the first team out, or the last team into the tournament, excuse me. It's going to be nail-biting time for Bobby Hurley.
Nail-biting indeed. Now, Bobby, we're both huge baseball guys, so let's close the shot with that. Sun Devils 8-0, averaging over 10 runs a game. How long do you think they sustain both this offense, but also their just success with winning?
All right, I think this is a two-part question. The offense, I think, can get sustained only as far as conference play. Pac-12 pitching is very vaunted. Oregon State, UCLA, Stanford, it's going to be tough competition every single weekend. I don't think they're going to be averaging 10 runs a game come conference play. The winning is a different story. I think that this team is building a culture. They're building a camaraderie amongst that small group that we touched on earlier. This could be dangerous for the Pac-12.
I agree. I think they're going to keep up both hitting and winning throughout the course of the season. It's going to slow off once you hit Pac-12 play. There's a lot of really good pitching in the Pac-12 conference, so they won't be averaging over 10 runs a game, but I do still think that offense is going to be one of the best in the conference, and I think they have a real shot to make it to the postseason for the first time.
All right, now we got to see who's going to win.
Man, I'm 0 for my last 3. I have a really, really good feeling about this.
I'm 1 for my last 1, but I really want to make that 2 for 2.
Oh, you thinking to go 2 for 2?
I think I do. I'm not going to say. I never guarantee with this.
No, I'm getting the winning culture back to Livermore, California.
No, bring it to Maplewood. Oh,
what do you know? I called it. Arizona State hockey has a chance to make it to the national tournament in just its 4th season at the NCAA level. Had it not been for Wisconsin-based Bradley Corp in July 2014 and their donation of over $30 million, the team wouldn't be where it is now. Quite literally, because they wouldn't have had the money to start a program because, well, let's be real, hockey's super expensive. But that isn't the only thing that came out of CEO Don Mullet's donation to the athletic department. The Arizona State men's tennis team is back in its 2nd season after a 10-year hiatus. Women's lacrosse was added last season, and women's triathlon was added as well in 2016, who, mind you, has won the last 3 national championships in their 3 seasons as a program. So why is this important? I'm a firm believer that a school can never have too many varsity sports. ASU is 3rd in the Pac-12 with 27 of them. By adding 4 sports over the course of the last 3 years, 150 athletes who otherwise may not have had the opportunity were given a chance to complete at the collegiate varsity level. And this will be far from the last time an expansion like this takes place in Tempe. Arizona State Club Hockey winning the 2014 National Championship set the school on a path that led to 4 NCAA sports being added, produced 3 national championships, and has honestly changed the culture on campus. Because, let's be real, ASU wants to be a basketball school, and one day they may be, but for now they aren't. Arizona State University is a hockey school, also a triathlon school, and that's the way it is.
All right, Nick, it's everyone's favorite segment. It is Top Plays.
Let's do it!
Coming in at number 3. Here on this pre-spring break edition, Remy Martin up in Eugene. Does he need to look for the pass? You bet he doesn't. Finds Lugansdort for the dunk. That was one of the only highlights for ASU as they dropped by 15+ to the Ducks in Eugene.
On to number 2. We're headed out to Vegas, the WWCHL playoffs. Jordan Nash bolted. It was her 3rd shutout of the season on Saturday against Grand Canyon. Look at those saves. Saves on saves on saves. ASU won that game 4-0, advanced to the semifinals. It was incredible.
And the top play, courtesy of Flow Softball, Morgan Howe against Nebraska. She goes deep in grand style. She ties the game with a grand slam last weekend in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. ASU went on to win that game by 1 run. Morgan Howe proving huge for ASU softball.
Man, Bobby, we were talking about that ASU offense for the baseball team, but the softball team, they've been pretty good with the bats as well.
It's the best. It's the best. These offenses are so prolific, and I think that they can just out-hit anyone in the country, it seems like.
I love good hitting.
Who doesn't? Yeah. But hey, it's finally spring break.
Finally.
What a better way to go into spring break than with an episode of CSL.
Oh, no doubt.
Couldn't have been better. Well, for Nick Batters, I am Bobby Kraus. For everyone here in our downtown Phoenix studios, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks after we get a little bit of a spring break. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.